Welcome to the Time In Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of 2021. First thing you'll notice is that we've got the cameras on this week, and the more observant viewers will notice that we've not got one, we've not got two, but we actually have all three hosts this week. How are you doing, Bundy?
I'm all right. I'm here. I'm alive. The awake parts are nearly, but we're there.
And for the first time in ages, we've got Craig. How are you doing?
I'm not bad. I feel kind of lost. You might know me from previous episodes about 2 months ago. No, it's good to be back, chaps, and good job holding the fort when I took a little break.
I don't know why I got the hi. I'm Troy McClure.
That's exactly it.
Well, firstly, thanks to everyone who listened and got involved last year. Secondly, we've had a long, serious chat about how we want things to change going forward, to name a few, like music, topics, the video element, because we're going to be moving more towards YouTube. Some changes in the format, which are all part of the ongoing process that we've discussed since day one, saying that we want to learn how to get better at this and progress. With that out of the way, we're better to start than a review of the absolute fucking disaster that was 2020.
What a year, boys.
Can you think of a worse year since we've been alive?
No.
The year that came into existence.
Well, okay. We're starting for that one, okay.
This got deep already. This is really deep already.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Obviously, it's not going to be the cheeriest of subjects, but we're going to have a laugh about it, as you need to. As we go through some of the things that happened last year, bear in mind they're not in any order, not chronological, certainly not in order of importance. So I think the elephant in the room is COVID. We probably need to talk about that first. Do you agree?
I honestly thought you were going to go down a different route for a second.
All right, okay.
I thought you were going to say we need to talk about the elephant in the room, the most sad and the most important, most defining thing that happened last year. Kobe Bryant dying.
That is on my list, and it's high up on my list. Actually, I paired his name with another because Kobe Bryant and Chadwick Boseman both unfortunately died, and both completely different stories. Kobe Bryant's was like a shock that
tragedy
went around the world. There was obviously a bit of a scandal associated with one of the policemen having taken pictures of the crash and the bodies, which is completely out of order. And someone that was so iconic, even though he'd retired, still had a huge involvement in the game. Horrible, such a big loss. And similarly with Chadwick Boseman, fighting a battle that actually not many people knew he was fighting, which is quite sad. I mean, he even filmed Black Panther while he was suffering, didn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
I mean, what a trooper to go on through that.
It's mental. Like, you look at the physical shape he was in when obviously he done the Avengers Endgame film, etc. And he's like the peak of fitness. And it's really sad. There was a video call he done. I didn't know if it was Instagram or whatever. And it's not long before he died, and see the difference in his body. It's really, really scary. And I think that was only filmed about a month before he actually passed away.
Jeez. Horrible. As we mentioned at the start, COVID had a huge impact. Those two really high-profile deaths obviously had an impact. Another big thing was the Black Lives Matter movement, which it was quite surprising to see how many people came out and spoke up about it, because it's something that I don't think got enough coverage, but when it did all come out the woodwork and nobody was kind of scared to stand up and speak about it, it really caught some traction.
Certainly did.
I think it was quite a year for those kind of things, because obviously Black Lives Matter and just in general human rights, which I will call them, because I don't think that there should be black rights and white rights. I think it should just be human rights and everyone's equal. But I think that that was obviously a big thing that is now good, because people at least even just for like 24 hours, depending on who you are, they educated themselves on Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, which is good. People can say that, you know, that they think it's conspiracy. They can think it's the government doing it. They can say that whatever they want. But at the end of the day, I think that the impact it had was overwhelmingly positive. Yes, there was kind of looters and stuff like that, but you also seen a lot of videos of people saying that they're not with us. So I think that was quite interesting.
Yeah,
you're always going to get opportunists when there's things like that going on, and surprisingly, incredibly surprisingly, because it's not a person I particularly like. Logan Paul said it quite well in one of his videos, and I've seen a lot of people pick up on it and say, "No, that's right." He said he can't believe he's took this long to understand it. But he said that it's not enough to not be racist. You have to be actively anti-racist. So when someone says it, you have to call them out, and it doesn't matter if it's a relative, your best friend, if it's someone you don't know. You have to pick them up on it. You have to challenge it. It's not enough just to sit by and ignore it and say you're not doing it. That's no good enough. It's something to bear in mind. Going more towards the UK, we'll talk about Brexit in a minute, because that still doesn't quite feel real to me.
Oh no.
But, Harry and Meghan left the royal family. Is that something you can do? Can you just, I've had enough, I'm leaving, and then you'll see them on an absolute bender in a different country somewhere? Is that allowed?
I have no idea. There's got to be some repercussions because of it. There's no way that you can walk from that standard of power, because how is it the royal family technically works in the UK? It's that they monarch the government, is that right?
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea.
So pretty much
They printed no money.
The way I see it, right, is this is a Bundy summary of what happened.
a
right?
Bundy summary special.
Right.
Okay.
So Harry was like, need myself a girlfriend, and then he found Meghan Markle, right? And he went, girlfriend. She went, aye. And then basically, like, I think there was some sort of like inner turmoil in the royal family, and Harry went, fuck this shit, I'm out. And then like gave up his title, and then she gave up her title, and then they just went, peace. And then that was it. But at the same time, I think that technically they're allowed back in as long as they're let back in. So I think maybe they're just waiting on the Queen to die and Prince Philip to die and Prince William to be the king, and then they'll just be like, Philip, my man. And
Well,
boom.
on that factor, 2021 is the year that Philip turns 100.
Wow. I mean, so I have to say that rendition was so accurate. It was like watching The Crown.
Bundy directed The Crown. What are you talking
You
about?
know what I just thought? You couldn't be Prince Harry and use Tinder. It would just be Prince Harry. Obviously, that's no real. It just keeps swipping. You must just be sitting there with name matches going, oh, I paid for premium.
Do you know, the thing is though, and this is sensitive, and I'm going to try not get too dark, is you do not fuck with the royal family, right? And I'm not going to get into it, we're not going to have a debate about it, but Princess Diana is a prime example why you do not fuck with the royal family. So I think they need to be careful. Like, I respect to an extent what they're doing, but they are still using taxpayers' money when they're all travelling the world and stuff. Like, that's still, say taxpayers' money, it's still royals' money. So it's a bit like, yeah, you've left the royal family, but you're still reaping the benefits, let's be honest. So all I would say to them is I respect what they've done, but they need to now plan for what they're actually going to do long term, because it's only a short term thing that they've done.
At least when he does it, he's going away and he's been like, right, I'm away to Rwanda, I'm going to give you money to charity, and I'm like, on you go, my man. Instead of being like, I'm going to sit on a throne and I'm going to do a palace up with 100 million.
Fair enough. Aye, fair enough.
She's been locked in for ages, just having an absolute Imagine in her own room.
100%.
She's got a monster i9 setup with a 3090 graphics card, just gaming her life away. She's
like, have you ever used 2 terabytes of RAM?
She just came out the room just like a mole trying to adapt to the sunlight. Like, what is this?
It turns out, and this is breaking news, only heard on the Time podcast, but the Queen is Zezima.
Do you know what, actually? Like, talking about the Queen, see the Queen's speech? Right. Like, I didn't listen to it all because I'm a filthy Scottish nationalist, right? But she does really well. What's she, 96? Like, the way in which she reads the script, the way in which she pronunciates herself, I know that's what she's done all of her life, but for
That's 70 odd times to practice that.
I think more than that, mate, but excuse me, the fact is, at that age, she's still like, she knows what she's doing. It is impressive. Aye, very sharp. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, that's the Royals.
On the topic of politics, and I've got two political topics, one of which is wild and the other which is more wild for different reasons.
Is one of them the fact that Harvey Weinstein been sentenced to prison for sex crimes?
It's actually 3 points in that case. I have got that written. I was trying to find a sensitive way to do it. I didn't think the royal family to
Yeah,
sex
how-
offender was really a good transition.
How is that no? Because we've got Prince Andrew.
Oh no.
I know. Well, here in my head, right, I seen these topics on a list and I went, right, Harry and Meghan maybe mentioned that they do a podcast and then we'll circle back to Predators. However, if we're going to do it, let's jump 2 feet in. Prince Andrew, how the fuck was he allowed to speak? 2, why the fuck did they say what he did? 3, 100% there's more people absolutely shitting themselves because they're guilty.
It's like that's what that basically is why I brought it up, because we were talking about the royal family, and then I was going to mention Prince Andrew, and then I thought, oh well, Harvey Weinstein, but literally the fact that you've got like someone involved with arguably the most fucked up like thing a royal person has ever been involved in. I mean, like I would say, so no one knows. No one knows if Diana was really an inside job, right?
No.
Bush could have done Diana as well as 9/11. You don't know, right? But at the same time, right? Like Harry dressed up as a Nazi at a party once, right? But did they ever go to Epstein's Island? We don't know. We didn't. We know he didn't actually. But did Prince Andrew? Yes, he did. Why was he there? Not good reasons.
Because he was at Pizza Express, mate, so he couldn't have done it.
Oh, right, let's know. Okay, right. So, seeing as we've covered that thing, that was more Epstein related, but that Weinstein, when you hear about how long he's got away for it with, and people are sort of coming out of the woodwork now saying, oh, you actually said this to me before, there's some hideous quotes from him, just they're that creepy, they'll send a shiver down your spine. And this guy is finally getting justice. Arguably, he should have got it years and years ago. In fact, there's no argument he should have got it years ago, but better late than never, I would say. A couple of other things. Brexit, do you guys think there's been a difference so far? Have you felt the impact yet, a few days in?
All I know is Brexit means Brexit, and we'll leave it there.
Okay.
I think
there wasn't much bread in the shop today, but I don't know if that's just people going mad on a Monday for absolutely no reason.
I think the only effects I've seen is the fact that pretty much the entire time everyone went, it's going to be a no-deal Brexit. Oh my God, it's going to be a no-deal Brexit. We can't have a no-deal Brexit. And then as if he was like getting ready for these holidays, like Boris left it until like the last day and was like,
Christmas Eve.
But technically didn't they get it actually sorted until like 2 days before it. And then he was like, by the way, can we sort this Brexit thing out now? Is that all right? And they were like, aye. And I think they were just fed up with him. They went, here's a fucking deal, mate. All right, here you go.
See, I think he was just sitting there with all these red boxes around him, wondering what number to pick, going, which one shall it be? Shall we get a deal? What is the deal they're offering? But no, they announced it on Christmas Eve, didn't they? It was we've got a deal.
Basically, they'll never go into enough detail or explain the intricacies and drill down into what each deal will actually mean. Like and they don't know. It's all speculative. some of these could have a complete butterfly effect, and all they're worried about was fucking fishing water. And I understand that's major, but come on, there's plenty of water, lads. I'm sure we can make do, or we can eat less fish. What a wild thought that is. But I just thought that whole thing was a bit. There was months and months of panic, then it happened, and then it's just stopped.
We can just eat less fish.
Just eat less fish, and then Brexit's okay.
Listen, if Boris Johnson can do his job, I'm pretty fucking sure I could do it.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Eat less fish. There you go.
Prime Minister Ewan, what are we going to do here? Well, boys, right? We've been consuming a massive amount of fossil fuels. So what we're going to do is we're just not going to do it. Why didn't they think of this? It's kind of like the same that I done with the fish. We didn't eat as much fish. Or we looked for fish that were a wee bit further out and we ate them.
Well, hear me out on this, because I'm sitting here, it's like I'm in the Matrix looking at all these transitions in front of me. If we're going to look at America, and we're going to look at climate change, for example, so California, there was huge forest fires. In Australia, there was huge forest fires. As somebody who fully believes in it and is aware that it is real, because there's people who don't think it's real, that still bewilders me. That's a huge sign of global warming and the associated impacts that can come with it. Forest fires are just a very clear indicator. As much as you were joking, we're just going to stop using fossil fuels. It should be a refocusing of the huge companies like BP, for example, who actually are cited in papers like noting the impacts of climate change like almost 100 years ago. They knew, or like 80 years ago or something, they knew it was happening. They knew what would probably come from it. Nothing's changed. And that's people who are directly causing it. So if governments haven't got enough to twist their arm, what chance have you got at this stage? It just became so inagile. It's like turning a huge cruise ship. It's just something you can do quickly. Forest fires. How long did they go on for? That was a matter of
something
weeks, wasn't it?
nuts.
Well, the Australia ones were a couple of months, I think. But I don't think they know how the Australia one started. But what the hilarious thing is that the LA one was started by a gender reveal.
What?
Wow.
The LA forest fires started because of a gender reveal where I believe there was some either fireworks or pyrotechnics or sparks or whatever involved, and these folk were doing like a gender reveal, like filming it, and that's what started the forest fire. So I just think it's funny that they'll wake up forever and think to themselves the biggest impact I've ever had and ever will have on the planet is the fact that I've destroyed thousands of fucking lives.
I think somebody needs to say it because, and I don't care if I insult anybody here, gender reveal things can get to fuck. That's something that needs to stop immediately. That needs to be left in 2020. Now, surprise, it's got to be a boy or a girl. Nobody really gives a fuck. Child sex doesn't know what it is for years.
It's cool having it like, and like with your pals and that, right? That's cool. That's fine. You can do it. Like, you can post it on social media if you want. Be like, I'm going to have a boy. I'm going to have a girl. I'm going to have whatever you want to call it, right? But at the end of the day, there's no need to like book pyro fucking technics and go out into the middle of the forest in LA and film
I mean, a
it.
bit of confetti, some pink and blue bunting.
Party popper.
Aye, poppers, full stop, it's a party. However,
Well,
I don't think you need to cause a forest fire to reveal it.
do you know what?
Look, the smoke's blue.
Do you know what,
That's
right?
not too far.
Before we started this, I sat down and I thought, it's a Monday, I'm going to have a beer. And I thought, Craig, you're almost 30 years of age. Why the fuck are you drinking beer on a Monday? And I've spent 18 minutes with used to, and I'm depressed. I'm fucking depressed. Do you know what, actually? When you think about 2020, all you think about is COVID. But even already, like the amount of stuff we're mentioned, it's fucking mental how bad a year it was. Like,
I've actually saved some cheery topics for the end. Some of them I've not even told you, so I'll hang fire on them.
some cheekies.
Do you want me to give you like a light-hearted, fun thing to cheer you up, Craig?
Go on then, mate. Keep your clothes on now, because we're on camera now.
That's fine. So Jared Leto, right? He literally So he put after COVID was like rampant, he like just put up a tweet being like, "Wow, like 12 days ago, I went and meditated in the desert with like nothing. It was just me and like survival stuff in the desert. And I've came back, COVID's a thing." And then they were like, "Oh, that's mad." And then it turns out that also the only other really people that were in the same boat was the Big Brother contestants for the year. They also didn't know about it. So basically, the only people that didn't know about COVID was the Big Brother contestants and Jared Leto, who was in a desert meditating.
The thing is, though, Jared Leto is a vampire. He doesn't age.
Oh,
No, it doesn't. That's strange, eh?
He's one of the scary ones. Like I know, like everybody goes on about Will Smith. You're starting to see Will Smith a bit now. He's aging gracefully. Let's say that. But Jared Leto just doesn't fucking age. That's why he's playing the vampire, the Marvel vampire in the film.
Morbius.
Morbius. Thank you very much, Monday.
Right.
That's interesting. There's another Marvel DC crossover because technically he played Joker. Tell you who else doesn't age? Cillian Murphy. Well, 28 Days Later, Scarecrow, Peaky Blinders. He doesn't really age. He looks quite similar in them all. Unusual.
Do you know who really doesn't age though? The one who actually is genuinely a vampire, Keanu Reeves.
He's a scary man. Scary man. Well, a great man, but a scary man.
100%.
It's bizarre that you can go for like Bill and Ted and be like dead serious, being an absolute business. John Wick. It's just that can't be hard. That can't be easy. Sorry.
Also, it's basically him that single-handedly saved Cyberpunk 2077 because the whole way through, I honestly hated him, man. Like, he plays the character that well, I hated him. I was like, fuck you. But then every time I was like, I hate him, but I love him because it's Keanu fucking Reeves.
You ken who doesn't get enough credit? This bugs me sometimes because you know when you get like a great TV show or movie, and after it, someone plays a role so well, you'll look them up and you'll go watch other work of theirs.
Devin Booker, yep.
I was thinking actors and actresses. One specifically that bugs me is see when you get the likes of Joffrey in Game of Thrones, people don't go look up his stuff because you hate him. When actually he's played such a good role to get those emotions from you that he's just played it perfectly. But it's because he's a bad guy, you're almost like, nah, fuck it, I'm not going to watch more of his stuff.
Did they not turn around and be like, I'm retiring?
Basically, he said they used to get abuse all the time.
No, I was going to say no wonder, but at the same time, when you're that good an actor for that much an arsehole, then...
I know. And I think, to some extent, I thought, why does that not happen to the guy who played Ramsay? But he's actually quite funny. You know, when he's got, like, the bitty sausage.
He done stuff before, though. So his big breakthrough was Misfits. He done Misfits before he done Game of Thrones. But obviously, Joffrey's character's a lot younger. And I can't remember the actor's name, sorry. But have you heard these accents? So I can't remember if it's Irish or Northern Irish. He's Irish or Northern Irish, but it's so strong. And the Game of Thrones guys found him whilst he was in school. That just shows you how fucking young he was.
Very talented. A lot of them came through school then.
But aye.
Look at Arian Sansa as well.
Aye, but 2021. 2020, sorry, 2020, I'm jumping the guns.
I was going to say,
fucking hell.
We're not finished some of the fuck up shit. So, more recently, Biden v Trump. I didn't know how this will divide people, but I think I'm pretty safe in saying, thank fuck Trump's out. That was never going to end well.
Whoa, what do you mean? Surely you're not telling me that you think Biden's a better president than Trump, who praised the opinions of a doctor who thought there was demons in sperm? That's who needs to be the president.
There's definitely
somebody...
and someone who made... I'm not saying anybody dealt with COVID like perfectly, because it's not something that's easy to deal with, but by fuck, you could have done it better than Trump.
Wait. I fucking hate Trump before I say this, right? Before I get hate fucking people chasing me. But see the scene from the Fox News or whatever it is when he comes back from the hospital in the helicopter, and it's got like the fucking 80s cheesy rock, the sort of do you know the Top Gun theme? Like that's all that's going through your head. And he comes out and he's like that with his arm in the air and he's like this, and it's like do 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 and all this. And then he comes up the White House stairs and he stands there and he goes, I am not afraid. And you're just like, what the fuck is this human being? He's literally just told the whole of America not to be scared of COVID. on live
He made
fucking
so
TV.
bad PR decisions.
Oh, mate.
The way I view him is he's like the Joe Exotic of presidents.
Ah, that's perfect.
The way I view him.
Wow. In fact, you heard people saying that the Tiger King lockdown feels like a different lockdown for what we're in now, or later in the year. That now feels like it's generations ago when you think about the Tiger King kind of days.
That was a huge. Sorry, on you go, Monday.
I was just going to say it's also funny, right? Because I'm still on this thing where Joe Exotic and Donald Trump are like president and thing versions, right? But technically, Carol Baskin's Hillary. Like, if you look at it that way too. Because honestly, it's just a perfect analogy.
I was just swap them. We'll have like a Tiger King with Trump and Hillary, and we'll just have a government with Joe Exotic. To be fair, it will only be worse.
You have Hillary Clinton walking up and being like, "Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's Hillary here from Big Cat Rescue."
You do realise Joe Exotic is still in jail?
Yeah. Aye, but there's a condition about it. How the fuck has that happened?
See, when you talk about like phenomenons in TV, like there was some big ones last year, but does anything beat Tiger King for 2020? I wouldn't say so. I think it was probably the biggest.
I mean, I can't remember when it came out. A few things I remember watching.
March, I think, mate.
Social Network and The Last Dance, the Jordan documentary. That was.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
In terms of sports documentaries, that's up there. The Social Network. If anyone hasn't watched it, I'd recommend you do. And after it, you'll feel like deleting your Facebook, and you'll feel like every time you go to reach for your phone, you'll go, "Nah, I'm not going to be a dick. I'm not going to do what they want." You'll think about it completely differently. Another thing I wanted to talk about is TikTok. I don't know how you guys feel about it, because this is a genuine quote from someone on this podcast. TikTok is for pedos. Can you guess who it is? Bearing in mind that Bundy sends me links to TikToks most days.
Can I rephrase that? So I would agree. Early last year, TikTok was full of young women presenting themselves in certain ways, and there were certain challenges of them to do things in a sexual nature, shall we say? And the ages of these people were very, very questionable. I think that's now Twitch, so TikTok's okay. Fuck Twitch.
Wow. Craig, we've got our first payout yet. Just fucking
fuck Twitch. Fuck Twitch.
Hang it out for like another month or so.
Oh, by the way, just on that note, big shout out to Cam for getting his first payout on Twitch if he's listening. Well done, Cam.
Well done, Cam.
Well played, Cam.
I am. Do you know what's something, right? So, as much as I'm just like in complete agreement that TikTok is hilarious, right? TikTok was also technically my news source for the majority of it. I don't know if he's how much he's like kept up to date with all of this, right? But we actually got quite lucky in lockdown, right? Because during the pandemic, there was 73 days where a Bolivian orchestra were trapped in a castle because there was packs of wolves surrounding them.
That's wild.
So, I mean, I found that out by TikTok, and I was like, "This has got to be bullshit." And I looked it up, and I was like, "Wow, there is a Bolivian orchestra trapped in a castle surrounded by wolves. Holy shit!" So, that's why TikTok for me is hilarious, because where else would you find that out?
I didn't even know that. That's insane.
That's hilarious.
It's not hilarious. It's not hilarious.
You're telling me that if you walked out with one of those big tuba hangs or whatever it is, and the wolves wouldn't be like, whoa, man.
I've seen a wolf for the first time. Christ, it was recently, past couple of weeks at a zoo, and it was Arctic wolves. And honestly, you don't understand the size of these until you're close up, like close to them.
Massive.
They're completely out of proportion. They don't actually look real. They're that big. Imagine a husky, and maybe not quite double the size of it, but maybe like 1.5 times the size of a husky. They're big creatures, and the teeth on them.
My ex-girlfriend lived probably where you went to see them, but literally like 2 minutes away. And when they first moved in, because they have lions there, they were both like jousting for territory. So you used to hear the lions roar and the wolves howl at night.
Jeez, that's madness, isn't it? I've been in mind. Did you see it? Was it what zoo was it? Was it Edinburgh? One of the monkeys got out, jumped into the lion enclosure. Oh no, it wasn't Edinburgh. What's the one in Stirling? Blair Drummond, the
Blair
safari
Drummond,
park.
yeah.
A monkey got out and was unfortunately eaten by a lion. Imagine thinking, I'm finally free. You jump into the next area and there's fucking lions.
Do you know
That's
what?
just-
Talking about zoos, as much as this is 2021, I found this mental today on the radio. So Edinburgh Zoo, because of COVID and the amount of money they've lost from 2020, they can't afford to keep the pandas because they have to pay £1 million per year to the Chinese government to keep the pandas that they own in Edinburgh Zoo. There you
May
go.
as well move them. Anytime I've been in, they're fucking sleeping or they're tucked away.
Nah, they're bone bastards. They don't even shag. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're struggling for population. Just get stuck in. Do you know what I mean?
I know, feed them Viagra with their food.
Fuck pandas.
So what
Panda
you're
boy.
telling me is that if I manage to get my hands on a couple of pandas, I can get £1 million renting them out to zoos.
If you are the Chinese government, yes.
Well, you could be.
Right, before you do anything with regret here and we need to cut later, I'm going to move on to the next bit.
Man, sit in my hands.
Aye, just
Good
go.
idea. Scientists found evidence of possible microbial life on Mars and evidence of water on the moon. Now, I know Elon Musk is the big sort of hype man behind space travel at the minute. I believe
Too long.
there's another mission going to the moon in 2024. This time they're going to try and make some sort of something like the space station, but on the moon.
Right.
So they've got a bit of a base for it. I'm really interested to see it, but I can't wait for the one reason that people go. I still argue with people who say, no, the moon landing wasn't real. That didn't happen. That was all staged. It wasn't staged. There's a reflective panel on the moon. So if you get a high-powered laser and you get the coordinates right, you can actually fire beams for a laser up and then track it coming back the way and measure it, so you know there is a man-made reflective object on the moon. I like the idea, but the idea that people could be living on the moon is pretty crazy.
I reckon that Elon will be like 2024, and then maybe in a couple of days' time he'll come and he'll be like, it's ready next week. He'll be like, what? He'll be like, it's ready next week.
Did you
I
know?
think it's NASA that are going to the moon, and Elon Musk is aiming for Mars, so we could see like we'll go to the moon and they'll just be like, this is still part of planet Earth. You'll try and go to Mars, and Elon Musk is like, sorry, this is my planet. This is private.
Did you
The
not?
moon.
But did you not see that they were testing the rocket, shall we say, that they're wanting to send to Mars? So they were test running that. Did you see it? And they worked out that it would only have a 30% chance of working, and it worked really well. But if you actually YouTube it and watch the landing, it's like a nuclear fucking bomb. It's madness. But if you get the chance, watch it. It's an incredible bit of technology. And that's kind of what they were working on for travel to Mars. But
I've seen a rocket launch.
have you?
I went to was it Port Canaveral in Florida, where they used to test them, and I would see them launch.
Jeez.
But yeah,
I remember you telling me about that. You said the ground is literally shaking under you when it's happening.
It was cool. I didn't. I was still very young at the time. I was just like, oh, look at that rocket. That's cool. It turns out it's just quite a cool one.
I'm aware of we've been quite depressing so far. I mean, let's face it, most of the things that happened in 2020 were quite bad as a whole.
To be
However,
fair,
there are
before-
some good things that came out of it. For example, this podcast. Here we go.
but right, to be fair, before you go and tell me the positives, right, just no a negative, but one last thing. A lot of it was our own fault as well, right?
yeah, I agree.
Because-
Yeah,
People literally, like, there was a thing where people were like, see Wayfair, they're like, aye, and they're like, they're sex trafficking children in cupboards. And they were like, what? And there was just a big thing about Wayfair supposedly sex trafficking children. And it was like, what? Like, what? And then they
Wayfair
had
the cigarette company or Wayfair the furniture company?
the furniture company.
the furniture company. Yeah,
They say that they were trafficking children in like cupboards and units and all that, importing them. And then folk were like, what? And folk went and looked into it, because if you shout enough, people will look into it. And there was nothing. And Wayfair were just like, we're just going to keep them ordering.
I hadn't heard of this, and I've just built 2 flat pack drawers for Wayfair. I think they were empty, there's some silica gel, but that was it.
That's what I mean. It's just, I was
Yeah.
like, what?
But
And then-
but positives.
Other
Aye,
than this,
no, aye.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. Before lockdown, I was guilty of, if I'm not at the gym or I'm not at training, I'm not working out, because I'm probably not going to get any benefit from it. I was really guilty for that. I maybe do like physio and stuff at home. Now, I'm more geared up, but I find it easier to do home workouts and track the benefits from it, and tracking what I eat and stuff. It's just something I didn't do too well before, I would say. I was just quite guilty. If I'm at home, I'm resting. If I'm not training or in the right environment, I wouldn't train. Whereas now, I've kind of got into a routine of home workouts, which makes a big difference.
Another positive would be that Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa Stark, married Joe Jonas and got pregnant. Oh wait, that's a negative because my heart's broken.
Can I just say she's an absolute bitch?
Shut your whore mouth.
I hate her. She's a fucking bitch. Did you see what happened when people were slagging the last episodes of Game of Thrones, and she was like, well, if the fans don't like it, then tough and all this, and she was getting all ratty and stuff, and then she got absolute pelters for her performance in X-Men Phoenix, or whatever, Dark Phoenix, whatever the fuck it's called. It's a rotten film, right? And she's one of the main reasons. It might be her writing, yeah, but her acting's so bad in it, and she was like, well, people are wrong because I was amazing, and you're just like, fuck off, Sophie Turner. Now go and fucking have your spawn of Satan with your weird guy and fuck off.
Oh, I'm going to put it there. Jonas Brothers are alright as a boy band.
Oh yeah, whoa. My hate for Sophie Turner can be questioned, but there is no question that the Jonas Brothers are shite.
Let's skip this argument and we'll talk after this. Anyway, another positive, Craig Gears one. I love the fact that Bundy's wife-to-be is pregnant and married.
I think I was like, what? Bundy's got a wife? I think one of the things for me, and obviously you mentioned the podcast, but I've had a lot of friends, colleagues and stuff as well. A lot of people have found use of this time that they'll never get again. So shout out to Philippa. Philippa's started her own company, which is Bakes and Greys, which was quite small to say when we done the episode, which is fair. That's now turned into an actual business that she's working full time now for during lockdown, which is amazing. Yeah, she's making an income from it. You've got examples of Lou, who was on one of the really early episodes. She over Christmas started making her own soap, and what she was doing is, remember when you were a kid and you used to get toys and soap? And you used to, obviously, it would encourage kids to stay clean, and obviously that's even better through the issues with COVID. And she was doing that over Christmas. It was really creative. People got into streaming and stuff as well. I know we've shouted out them already, but Cam, for example, I think that's the big thing for me. I think people have kind of challenged themselves in that sense. You always go, oh, I've not got time, I'm working, I've not got time. You went, no, you do have fucking time, so go and do something now. And obviously we put our energy into podcasting and some other bits and bobs as well. But I think it's really cool to see that people all have kind of got their own wee thing, do you know what I mean? And it's not just a case of, what did you do in lockdown? I went jogging, or I played games. Like, people actually have something to show for it, which I think is really cool.
No, I'm with you on that, definitely. A lot of people have kind of took advantage of that extra time to learn something new, whether it's a skill, a hobby, or put time into stuff that they otherwise wouldn't have had time for. I rate that. That's a good effort. Starting to notice it a bit now. Do you remember at the beginning people said, you'll see a spike in divorce and a spike in pregnancies? How many people do you know that have actually had kids recently?
A lot.
Or due kids, and you're like, fucking hell, aye. Right enough, lockdown probably done that. Wild. Maybe another good thing is that, I see it as a good thing. You've got more time to watch TV, so TV shows that are on like Netflix and Amazon Prime and stuff seem to be doing a bit better these days because people are at home more often, obviously, so they're watching more stuff.
Any standouts for you guys? What I was going to ask this as a question anyway, but is there any sort of... I don't want to say films, because obviously film production has been massively delayed, but is there any sort of TV shows that you thought that was amazing or you really enjoyed? Obviously, we've talked about Tiger King, so...
Parasite.
What
I
is
won
it?
all the awards.
It won best film by the Oscar for best film. It's a South Korean. Technically an anime. Technically,
Jeez.
but what a film.
I watched it. I'm guessing it's dubbed or subtitled.
Subtitled, aye.
Nice. I'll catch that sometime. For me, probably the Last Dance was brilliant at the start of lockdown. Obviously, mentioned Tiger King. I'm a huge fan of. There's a series, but I don't know why I mention it because we're going to do an episode on it soon. Hopefully, fuck it. Mandalorian was unfucking believable, and there was that much of a rush to watch the last episode without seeing spoilers that I watched it at Bundy's on his phone, and this is how bad it got. But it didn't take away from it. We were guessing the whole time. In fact, before we even watched it, he had seen it before me, and he went, "What do you think happens?" All right, fine. Blah blah blah. And it was pretty damn close. So hopefully we're going to get some special guests in to speak about that and the other announcements from the Star Wars front. The only other ones I can really think of, I mean, I'm a huge Vikings fan, but because the last season just came out a few days ago, I'm really reluctant to talk about it in case people haven't seen it. I would say I'm happy with about half of the way it ended, and the other half of the way it ended, I'm not as thrilled about it. I didn't see it as finished in my head. The way they sort of end every series, and it looks like it could just loop into another one. They've sort of just done that at the end of this one, and that annoys me a bit. Because I think you could have fucking made another series, but I'll let it slide. It's not the way I would have ended it, but I don't think there's ever a good way ending a long TV series with multiple storylines.
Everyone dying.
I was going to throw another curveball, and it was... So I'll start with the man in the yellow t-shirt.
I was going to say, did you have any movies or TV shows, Craig? Or games?
Games, I found my love for Minecraft again. Not so much new games. There wasn't a great deal of new games I played. There was some good standout games, obviously. I've not played Cyberpunk. I've not played Valhalla yet. Newer games, I played the Destiny DLC. I thought it was average. I'm trying to think what new games came out this year. What came out? Keep me right.
I haven't played Cyberpunk yet. Warzone just blew up. Fuck me, what other games did I play? To be fair, it didn't come out this year, but I hadn't played it until this year. Sea of Thieves. What a riot that is.
You guys have been talking about it loads. I need to jump on, and I've watched a couple of bits, and everybody looks like they have the best time playing it. So
it's so fun.
Yeah, we'll need to do something, but
especially because I don't know. Have you ever met Captain Jarl Sigurd Bundy?
I've met Officer Bundy.
Like 2 seconds, I'll try and see if I can get the captain. He lives under.
Before he does this, bear in mind he done this for about an hour or 2 hours when we were playing and almost lost his voice doing it. But he didn't stop.
Yar, there do be a captain on this vessel. Batten the hatches and man the sails.
Wait, what the fuck is this?
It's me hook. It's quite clearly me hook.
Can I just say, right, for anybody who hasn't joined, plug the Time In Podcast Discord. If you join and ever play Among Us with Bundy, he portrays these characters almost in every game. I've not seen this one, but there's Officer Bundy, which is a old sort of army officer who...
Yar, he be a grizzled veteran coming back from Vietnam and serving in the force.
However, if you take a screenshot, it could quite easily be Dr. Bundy checking your prostate.
Oh my.
Yar, you wouldn't want your prostate checked with this hook. It's checked many a prostate and none of them survived.
Do you know when you take a month off and you think, I'm ready to come back, I need a month off?
No, you be walking the plank.
What I was going to ask, thanks for that, Bundy, was
Like how he ducks away to get it back out of character.
what did you learn most from last year? What was a big? I can't take this seriously now, but no, what was a big learning for you last year? So you and what did you learn about? So for me, for example, I learned that you can be more creative than you think, and no matter the size of something that you want to create, there's a platform there for you. I think that would be a big learning for me. I don't know about you guys. I'll get to the fucking captain fairly shortly, but what sort of learnings did you get from last year? Because much as it's shit, you must have took some positive from it.
Oh, well, sort of keeping accountability for my own health, which was a bit tricky. When you play as part of a team sport and you keep fit almost year round, you've got to take 2 weeks off in summer. It's quite tricky to keep your fitness at the right level and keep eating properly, especially when you're knowing the routine of get up, make your lunch, have breakfast, go to work, eat that lunch, come home, have dinner, go to... That was like my routine for a while, and when that disappeared, I ate shite for a good few weeks. Thank fuck that 5k sort of craze came in, because if I wasn't doing that, who knows what size it would have been. But and then home workouts and kind of doing that helps. So almost self-discipline, and in a similar category, when you're not at work in an office or out actually working on site or whatever, it's quite tricky to keep your concentration at first because it's completely new to you. I found it really hard to work from home to start with. That's something I'd never done before. But after that, you almost find ways of helping yourself concentrate. You realise what you need to do to get focused and get stuff done. That was a big thing. I mean, other than that, it's probably just managing your time so that you don't sit around and do fuck all day. Managing your time in such a way that you've got it planned out and you know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and why you're doing it.
Yeah. What about you, Captain?
Well, the captain's no longer here.
Oh, is he left us? Okay, right.
Let me just quickly ask him what his positives were. Captain, what were your positives?
I seen a lot of booty on the seas.
He's seen a lot of booty on the seas,
Right, okay.
which I believe is slang, pirate slang for treasure. Anyway,
Bet it is.
so I think mine's would probably have been to look at others and take inspiration.
Bundy, I know Ewan has a pink backlight that's making me pink, but you are going to make me blush.
I mean, I was, yeah. Anyway, but no, so I actually, technically, if you want, I actually have a short list of some positives that were all good things, and I can actually name them if you want.
Go for it.
Okay, so I think the first one is definitely deserves the most recognition for an individual. It would be that I believe it would technically be Captain Sir Tom Moore raised just under 40 million for the NHS charities together.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And like the guy's a war hero and obviously like OAP, very vulnerable and at risk himself, and managed to raise probably more than anyone else has raised in recent times. US version for US listeners, Kamala Harris became the first female, first black, first South Asian US vice president elect, I believe. Don't quote me on it. People, because of COVID, obviously weren't going out as much and stuff like that, and a lot of the wildlife returned. Like there was like dolphins back in Venice. There's obviously like other species that have been able to kind of flourish in that time. I think our priorities in general were re-established in terms of not, it's that old saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone, which is pretty much everyone now. I think obviously we had a lot of important conversations and continue to learn kind of crucial lessons about the ongoing impact of institutional racism and white fragility on Black people's daily lives, and how to be actively anti-racist, like you said, Ewan. We're obviously incredibly lucky in the UK to have the NHS, which at this present time is an absolute godsend. Africa was officially declared free of wild polio because it's been 4 years without a reported case, so on Africa.
Damn.
Marcus Rashford, a footballer, done what everyone in Parliament should have been doing in campaign for free school meals.
A young football player had to take the reins on that one.
Yep, he pretty much forced the government to U-turn on their stance. And then even just things like the restaurant trade and stuff like that, managing to adapt, and a lot of people doing really well that way. That then giving us the skills at home in order to do these kind of things, which obviously we'll still go out and eat, which is cool. And then probably the last one would be that fairly recently, actually, the government announced that blood transfusions from LGBTQ+, I believe, I think it's just everyone across the board, would be allowed across the UK, because it used to be that if you were gay or bisexual, you couldn't get blood. Lashana Lynch became the first black female 007 as well. Scotland became the first country in the world to provide free access to
sanitary. Yeah,
that's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say Scotland made a major football tournament for the first time in fuck knows how long.
1994.
In fact, since we were born. There you go.
Mm-hmm. That's also true. Science and medicine.
That's what you're going to say. I started cheering.
Do you know one thing? Like the points the Bundies are saying is amazing. I think we need to touch on New Zealand. How New Zealand has handled COVID has been fucking amazing.
Australia as well.
Australia, yeah. It's just, do you know what? It's really cool to hear from what is such a shit year, the positive twists that you've put on it. Like you've put on not only racial improvements, environmental improvements. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so many different areas that you've commented on there that's happened over 2020. It's cool as fuck. But the biggest thing is the Timing podcast now exists. So
have you guys ever seen, just when he said that, it jogged my memory, have you ever seen the video where there's a guy who goes out and he interviews people on the street and he asks them, he went, so blah blah, we've got the NHS, and it was part of a campaign to prove how valuable it is. And he would say, so in America, how much would it cost you to have a baby? How much would it cost you for this procedure? Or to get taken by an ambulance to hospital? It's fucking shocking what they have to pay over there.
that's insane.
If I lost a leg, that's me. I'm hopping for life after that, because, and if you think about injuries, potentially all 3 years I've had, or any illness or anything that's happened to us, I don't think any of the 3 years off our own backs would have been able to afford the necessary procedures.
So see, my finger would have been in the region of 20k. Say I split my finger in half and had to reconstruct it and put artificial whatever they fucking put in it and all this shit, and they worked on nerves and they worked on the rest of my hand. Yeah, it would have been about 20k, which is just fucking nuts.
I broke 3 bones in a year and a half, and that would have been like, I couldn't have financed that if I'd tried. Or even if you think, if you've ever needed surgery, that alone would have been a costly procedure. It's terrifying when you think about it. So we're truly lucky to have the NHS.
Yeah.
There was a couple of things saying like the average hospital stay in the US would cost anything upwards of 10 grand. They said that then like having a baby basically is like 30k upwards, so there's that, and then the cost that come with having a baby, and just mental things like alongside it, which then makes it quite interesting to see the fact that like people don't walk around completely bubble wrapped, because if I had to live over there and pay 10 grand to go to the hospital, I would be Absolutely. I'd be walking about in a plated armor.
Yeah,
I wouldn't leave the house. I am the clumsiest person that you two probably know.
I mean, it's quite scary to think there's people. I'm assuming health insurance covers it, obviously, and I don't know what their taxes going towards if it's not national health care like that. I mean, in my head, I can't think of anything more important once you've had it.
The thing is, right, it's like there's people who have insurance, which is cool, but the majority, like I would say, middle class Americans would have the average middle class American, not talking about like upper middle class or whatever else. I would say they probably get most of their healthcare insurances through like their workplace and stuff. And even at that, there was like a story about a guy who like basically went to the hospital because his wife had an accident and she needed like treated for burns. And a week later, he was in a car crash, and they knew that if he had got an ambulance to the hospital, he wouldn't have been able to afford it. So he got somebody to drive him to the hospital, and he died on the way.
That's mad.
And it's mental because obviously it turns out it was like a brain injury, and probably the ambulance would have saved him as well, which is quite sad. But it's more the fact that like he had to be like, nah, I didn't phone me an ambulance, like to hold on the new, like I can't afford that because my wife burnt herself and had to go to hospital. So because of that, I now need like get a lift. Because I'm getting a lift, that's me deed, which is wild to think that like realistically. Like you said, Ewan, like imagine you had like broke a bone, and you're in a hospital, nothing happens.
You'd have to let it heal unaligned. That's that.
Yeah, that's true.
So we are truly lucky. As Craig said, the biggest benefit of the lockdown, the biggest good point is, of course, us blessing your ears and your eyes this week. One thing we have spoke about is moving more to YouTube. We had a huge amount of plans in our heads and in notes. However, lockdown scuppered a few of them that's just been announced today, so it's going to be a bit longer, but we have got stuff planned, so there's going to be plenty of content coming in the next few weeks, hopefully on YouTube. We've got plenty of ideas coming, and the format that it may take is that we'll do the podcast every week. However, there may be a week where we've got a video planned, and we're going to do that instead of the podcast, and then the podcast will continue the week after. Just because we've all got limited time. We don't want to be spending ridiculous amounts of time making content. Although we enjoy it,
yeah,
we need to balance it with other things.
I think just on that, Ewan, is that what we were doing for a period of time that we were live streaming it at the same time of recording. Twitch just isn't the right platform for us. I'm not going to go into the rant. You can see that on our 25th episode. Is that correct? Yeah. We talk a lot about that, but I think what we're going to try to do is, obviously, for people who don't know, here's a bit of insight. Ewan does a lot of our sound editing side of things. I'm going to try work on the video side, because to name a few, we've talked about them in the past. True Geordie, the fellas, What's Good podcast. All these guys are doing really, really well. All British based, and they do not only a sound format but a video format as well. And do you know what? We've done uploading on YouTube, but it's just a direct upload from our website, or the company that we use as our website. And we just want something a bit more visual and a bit more interactive. And I think if we can get this to work, we'll try upload this every week. And we'll kind of see how it goes. If we can get some feedback, it would be great as well. And yeah, we've kind of... I stepped away for a month because I took some additional work over Christmas in a farm, of all things, and I was pretty burnt out, to be honest. And I think it's fair to say, and the boys will probably agree, because it was both the guys that brought up before myself, is that the content was maybe getting a bit, I don't want to say stale, but...
That's the right word.
Stale, okay, yeah, stale. And it was like, you would come on an episode and it would be... episode, and then we would plug Rogue, and then we would plug Crusoe. Let's be honest, there's not been that interest from our audience, which we totally understand. What we would rather do is take away that aspect at the moment. If you still want to get an order from Rogue, our discount code is still there. but we want to find something that fits with ourselves a lot more. And we want to take away from this super structured, almost bullet point approach, which is a point raised by Bundy, which I actually couldn't agree more with, and just have it more a free flowing conversation between three mates. And we just kind of want to try something new. I know all the guys are doing work in the background to kind of really kickstart 2021, and I think when you see some of the graphical work that we've worked on initially, there's going to potentially be some new music, which Ewan touched on at the start of the episode. Big shout out to Sam if he's listening.
Previews in it's our bio.
It's fucking unreal, and the fact that the guy's done it in less than a day, the preview is just insane. And I think we're going to work on that. We worked on the sort of Twitch platform a lot, but I think, for example, if we're doing anything where we might be playing a game together, we record it, play about with it, maybe chuck that on the channel. I think it's a case of, podcasting's what we do. We always go on about this, but we might dip our toes into other bits and bobs and see how it works. But I don't want to keep ranting. You boys want to jump in? Bundy, you've been quite quiet. Do you want to jump in any of the points? Or
no, that's pretty much it. You covered pretty much.
Got stagnant, happy to change it up. That's the whole point now.
I do need one favour, Bundy. If you could point above you right now, so if you look up and point up, anyone who might be interested that has something interesting to talk to us about, you'll see our email above on the screen now, if I can edit properly. Yeah, thank you, Bundy. Give us a
of my box for some reason.
It's not going to be there, and it's just going to be him fucking finger banging. But
Banging at the hook again.
We've had some amazing guests, and like I said, we're still working with them in some sort of sense. And if you get any sort of interesting hobby, job, whatever it is, get in touch. And we'd love to chat. But sorry, Bundy, on you go.
Can I stop finger pointing then?
No.
Can we just make a quick point before we finish? How many times we've said the phrase hobby or job and not got the letters mixed up because it goes through your head so much that you can't say that. You can't say jobby or hob. I can't do it on a live podcast. But the amount of times we came close, you'll hear everybody pause before they say it, and they're making sure that doesn't happen. I think that's a good point to finish up with. What have you got to say, Bundy?
I think we should finish up on a point that I find quite funny. Right. So basically, I thought to myself, what positives have really came out of 2020? Well, because the lockdown, coronavirus. Positives. We need some real sturdy positives, and I gave you some good positives, right?
You did.
But the best positive that we can ever ask for is that currently we're not positive for COVID-19. If you have been positive, you're sound. Yep.
For now. We'll finish up on that. Cheers for listening, folks. Be back again next week, probably with the podcast, but keep checking the channel. We should get stuff up on YouTube soon, so go check us out on that. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
So, Captain, what did you think of 2020?
Well, Prince Andrew be a nonce.